I thought it was important that we hear again from Theresa and Buckingham as to what they're up to, since they took a risk on us as well. So, Theresa Rhodes. How are you, Theresa?
Good, Derek. How are you? Good to see you, too.
So, it's been a year, Theresa. Can you believe it?
I can't believe it.
And I think last year, and I was joking with my colleague who's in the audience right now, just Carrie Saratosky, we were sweating heavily.
With the sun shining down, the great Indianapolis sun shining down on us.
Exactly.
I remember.
If I recall, we went through a lot of napkins that morning.
I do recall that as well.
It was right before that. So tell me a little bit about Buckingham Foundation and the companies.
Buckingham Foundation is the philanthropic partner of Buckingham Companies, local real estate developer. And in that role, we really get to work with millennials throughout our company, which is comprised of about 35 to 40% millennials within our company. So we get to work with those folks on how do we help continue to change the landscape of our greater Indianapolis community through our philanthropy, through our community involvement, our engagement, and that sort of thing.
Good. So Buckingham also has this other piece around culture and art, right?
Yes.
So explain what's going on around there.
That's one of our mission priorities. In addition to affordable housing and community and economic development, art and culture is very important to us as one of our mission priorities. So we certainly do grant making and funding around those important issues, but we also try to encourage our employee involvement and engagement around those issues as well.
So I know one of the properties that we were at last year was the Alexander.
Yes.
So it's a wonderful facility if you haven't gone there in Indianapolis. Talk about what that facility was, because people who tuned in last year had a chance to see some of it.
The Alexander is one of the jewels of Cityway, which was a neighborhood that Buckingham Companies developed on the south end of downtown Indianapolis. Really opened that area up and connecting it to some very diverse neighborhoods that are full of arts and culture. Fountain Square, there's art throughout the hotel and throughout Cityway, and very close to the Cultural Trail in Indianapolis, which has become quite a source of pride.
Excellent. Well, if you haven't been to Indy, there's a lot of things happening. We're sad that we're not there, of course, this year. But
we'll come back.
Of course, we'll definitely think about that. But as we look at the last year overall, what have you guys learned, even about your own employees and things in the last year?
We were really struck by the research last year and the findings that we were happy to learn about and participate in. And since that time, we've been working on developing a leadership initiative within Buckingham Companies, a leadership council. We encouraged certainly our emerging leaders, so really with the focus on our millennial employees to submit their interest. Good. Which we had great response to that, and so we're working on putting some structure around that. We'll have monthly gatherings of the folks who are involved in taking their leadership to the next level. We may, we'll be using social media certainly. We may also do book discussions and have speakers come in and just really work on how do we capture and harness that energy with our millennial employees and help them take that leadership to the next level, and then also up their civic involvement, their civic engagement as well.
So we're seeing, and we released the research this morning. There's a couple outlets that have already seen it. It just got released earlier. One of the big findings is around that the cause and culture really, really matters when they're looking for employment. And how does you as an employer look at that too?
I think that's huge. I think that culture issue, and those are two of the things that we as the senior management spend a lot of time talking about, and how we have to wrap our hands around that. And how do we make sure that we're presenting the right culture and giving these new employees, or these, as they enter the workforce, and these millennial employees, giving them the things that are important to them, making sure that we're giving them opportunities to have true meaning around the work that they do, and not only in the workplace, but again, knowing that civic involvement, nonprofit involvement is such a huge piece to this. How do we make sure that we're making that seamless so that all of those things are involved in the culture that we're able to offer folks as they come into the workforce?
So how is it right now? Buckingham is how old of a company?
We're just actually celebrating our 30th year.
Wonderful.
30th.
I suspect you've got all generations in the workplace. How is it right now?
Crowded? It's crowded. It's very positive, and it is interesting, again, when you can get the attention of the people who are at that top echelon, that upper echelon, and you can get their attention, and they understand the importance of making sure that the culture is inviting and welcoming and engaging to these new millennial employees entering, or already or already in the workforce. I think that's key, and I think we don't have any challenges or barriers with that. Our folks are so focused on the fact that this is an important issue, and we have to make sure that we're embracing it. So that's probably number one, to make sure that you don't have any challenges along those lines, and we don't. Our CEO, our president's very innovative, very focused on, making sure that we continue to embrace all of these different ideas that your research really has helped us think forward about.
Good. So in terms of culture and things, what things have you learned that have worked successfully, and any failures, of course, because it happens?
Oh, no failures, never any failures,
right?
Derek. We've never had any of those. I just think the things around making sure that we understand that millennials come into a workforce and perhaps don't have necessarily the same idea of work hours or work schedules or work environments that baby boomers, such as myself, maybe did when they came in. The expectations are slightly different, and being able to be flexible with things like that. If we've got an employee who still wants to put in 40 hours a week, 40 hours plus, but they're just in different chunks of time, you have to be okay with that. You have to understand that, and things about what do workstations and work areas look like, and how are we offering sometimes more casual dress days, and just things along those lines. Sometimes they seem that they're a little superficial or more on the surface, but to some people, those are pretty important things to wrap your hands around.
Absolutely. Okay, so next year, any exciting things happening both on the company side and the foundation?
The foundation will continue to really look at how can we have an impact in those mission priority areas. Okay. How can we continue to do good, solid grant making, but also look longer term at how do we help these nonprofits make sure that they're always thinking about stability and sustainability for the long term. With the company, we'll continue to do the good things that we've done for the past 30 years.
New projects, right?
Some new projects will be coming up, and continuing to expand that and just look at different places where we can have that impact, and always hopefully have that arts and culture piece to the work that we do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the risk with us.
Thank you. Well, thank you. It's been a great ride, and I'm glad to be back for year 2.
Good. So thank you, Theresa, who's with us with Buckingham, our partner initially last year with our first in-person MCON in Indianapolis. If you head to Indianapolis, make sure you stay at the Alexander. There's some incredible artwork that's happening there.